If you thought you knew Claude 3, scrap that. 4.1 is a whole different beast. In this video, giving you a hands-on tour of Claude 4.1 and how you can use it to level up your writing, learning, data analysis, coding, content creation. By the end of this guide, you'll walk away Claude certified. Let's dive in. So, what's new? The context window is massive. It's way better at coding and troubleshooting, but the real showstoppers are artifacts, projects, extended thinking, advanced prompting tools, next level data analysis, improved reasoning, and built-in personalities. These aren't just buzzwords, they actually change the way you work. One of the first big upgrades in Claude is artifacts, and the easiest way to think of them is as your interactive workbench inside Claude. Instead of dumping everything into the chat as one big block of text, Claude now creates a side panel where outputs live on their own. Code, charts, formatted documents, even little apps, they all show up in that panel, neatly presented. Creating artifacts in Claude is super simple, and here's how you actually do it. Just give Claude a task that produces something structured, like generate Python code to analyze this dataset or draft a formatted essay. The moment it generates something that qualifies as an artifact, you'll see a little side panel appear on the right. That's your artifact window. But you don't always have to wait for Claude to create an artifact automatically. There's an Artifacts tab in the Claude interface where you can spin one up manually. Say you want a blank document, a code file, or even just a scratch pad for notes. You click into the Artifacts tab, hit New Artifact, and you're working with a clean canvas right away. From there, you can paste in your own code or text or tell Claude what you want it to build inside that space. It's great when you already know you're gonna need a formatted output or want to keep something separate from the main chat flow. Using artifacts is simple. You upload a dataset and ask for an infographic, and instead of giving you an art or vague instructions, Claude actually generates HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. When you hit preview, you see the chart instantly complete with colors, layout, and icons. If something looks off, maybe a circle overlaps some text, you don't start over. You just tell Claude what to fix, and the artifact updates in real time. One more preview, and the problem is gone. The best part is how dynamic this feels. You're not just reading static code anymore. You can tweak it, copy it out, download it, or interact with it directly. And because Claude now runs code inside its own sandbox, it doesn't just show you code, it executes it. Python for data analysis, HTML and JavaScript for web apps, whatever you need. In previous versions of Claude, you had to copy the code and run it yourself. In 4.1, Claude runs it, debugs it, and shows you the output immediately. I can ask it for something ambitious like a drag and drop calendar app, and a moment later, I'm literally dragging tasks around in the artifact preview window without leaving the chat. And this isn't only for coders. If you're working on a long essay, a research report, or even a design mockup, Claude can drop the result into an artifact so you get a clean, formatted preview instead of a wall of text in the chat. Feels more like working in Design Studio than Chatbox. Compared to old Claude, the difference is night and day, like going from scribbling in Notepad to working in Figma. Once you start using artifacts, you stop thinking of them as a feature and start treating them as the natural place where Claude's finished work lives. Actually, while we're talking about organizing your AI workflow, let me show you something from AI Master Pro. This is Ask AI Master, our built-in coach that helps you level up these exact techniques. See, I could tell you about artifacts all day, but what you really need is practice with real scenarios. So I'll ask it, what's the best way to create a data visualization artifact? And it walks me through the specific prompt structure, shows me examples, even suggests follow-up questions to refine the output. The beauty is it's not just ChatGPT or Claude with a fancy wrapper, it's trained on our entire knowledge base of AI techniques, so it gives you strategies that actually work. Leo, who runs his little agency in New York, told us he cut his content creation time in half just using the Ask AI Master Coach to perfect his prompt structures. This is the kind of guided learning that turns theory into real results. Though, no matter how advanced Claude 4.1 is, you'll always get the best results when you communicate clearly. Prompting is an art, and Claude has some unique quirks that make advanced prompting really powerful, especially compared to old Claude. Let's go through a few techniques you can use right now. First, use structure. Claude pays close attention to formatting. If you wrap content in pseudo tags like this, it knows what's instructions and what's material. For example, summarize the following article and give me 3 takeaways. Text, article here, /text. This extra clarity helps Claude stay focused and prevents mix-ups. Claude responds even better to structured prompts than 3 did. It's like giving it a clean template to follow. Second, assign Claude a role. If you want professional analysis, start with, you are an experienced hiring manager. Evaluate this resume and portfolio for a mid-level data analyst role. The response comes back sharper and more on point. Or, if you're practicing French, tell it to act as a patient language tutor and it shifts tone accordingly. 4.1 handles these personas with much more nuance than 3, thanks to its improved style presets. Third, tell it how to think. For complex problems, guide the reasoning. Try something like, think through the problem step by step, explain your reasoning, then give me the final answer. Paired with extended thinking mode, this gives you a breakdown of the logic and then a polished conclusion. You see why Claude decides something, not just the end result, and if it makes a wrong assumption, you can step in and redirect before it finalizes the answer. Fourth, show examples of what you want. If you need a report in a certain format, paste a short sample and then say, now create a new version in this style with the following data. Claude mimics the structure closely, and 4.1's larger context window means it can absorb examples without getting lost. Fifth, let Claude refine your prompt. If you are unsure how to phrase a request, draft it roughly and then say, rewrite this prompt to be clearer and more detailed. Claude often generates a polished version in an artifact, which you can copy and run. It's basically like having a built-in prompt coach to help you ask better questions. Finally, balance clarity with creativity. If you lock Claude into too many rules, you'll get rigid answers. If you're too vague, you'll get fluff. The sweet spot is clear instructions plus space for creative freedom. For example, write a 500-word blog post about AI in education in a humorous tone and add one anecdote to make it engaging. That's clear but flexible, and Claude fills in the rest with flair. When you use these techniques, you cut down on back and forth and get outputs much closer to what you want. Advanced prompting in Claude isn't about tricking the AI, it's about collaborating with it. And when you give it the right guidance, the results don't just land, they shine. And I remember I was drowning in scattered bookmarks trying to remember which prompt worked for which task, just jumping between different platforms. So I created this space where all my best prompts live in one place. 300 plus ready-to-use templates in AI Master Pro, plus bite-sized lessons that teach you exactly how to structure these advanced techniques. What I love is how it connects the dots. You're not just collecting random prompts, you're learning the system behind them. Take the role assignment technique I just showed you. Inside AI Master Pro, I have templates for automation and efficiency expert, content creation wizard, even AI business mentor. Each one is pre-tested and ready to copy paste. Plus, the weekly AI digest keeps you current in techniques like this as they evolve, because let's be honest, prompts and strategies change fast, and having one place that stays updated beats hunting through YouTube comments for the latest trick. Check the link in the description if you want to see how the whole system works together. Now, another big change in Claude 4.1 is projects. If you've ever gotten lost in a dozen different chats, constantly re-uploading files and re-explaining context, this is where your life gets easier. Projects give you persistent workspaces, basically folders where your files and context live, and every chat inside the workspace automatically knows them. Yep, similar to what ChatGPT has. Here's how it works. You create a project, give it a name, and load it with the background materials. You need documents, spreadsheets, images, notes, whatever's relevant. Once they're in there, you don't have to paste or re-upload them every time. Any chat you open inside that project already has access. That means if you're writing a novel, you make a sci-fi novel project, drop in your character bios, your outline, maybe even a map of your world. Then when you open a thread to brainstorm chapter 1 or polish dialogue, Claude already remembers the context. It's like long-term memory, but scoped to one topic. For real work, this is gold. Let's say I have a project for a client where I've uploaded their brand guidelines, all marketing material and analytics spreadsheets. Now, when I ask, draft me a newsletter with last quarter's stats, Claude pulls the actual numbers from the file in that project without me copying and pasting. In Claude 3, that context was gone the second you open the new chat. Gets better. Projects hook into your cloud storage. Connect Google Drive, and instead of uploading giant docs one by one, just point Claude to them. It treats those Drive files as part of the project's knowledge, so your AI assistant now has instant, reusable context across all chats inside that workspace. So try this, make a project for your job hunt, drop in your resume, cover letters, and portfolio, and then just chat. Claude already knows your background, so when you ask it to draft a tailored application or prep interview questions, works with that context on hand. Once you start using projects, you will see why it's one of the best workflow features Claude's added. It saves you time, repetition, and mental clutter. If you remember, one of Claude's biggest drawbacks compared to ChatGPT is that it can't create images. And for me, design has always been the weak spot in my workflow. I can write, I can sort of code, but the moment I need to make a poster, I'm lost in Photoshop menus. That's why instead of trying to hack design together in Photoshop or relying on ChatGPT's image tools, I've been experimenting with LaVAR Chat Canvas. Chat Canvas is basically an infinite workspace where the AI works with you like an actual designer. You click on an element, drop a note, and it immediately understands what you're talking about. When I'm working on a promo poster, I click the title, tell it, make this look retro 70s. When I want to fill an empty space with a rocket, I sketch a quick placeholder, say add a cartoon rocket here, and it generates polished options right inside my layout. Instead of feeling like I'm fighting software, it feels like I'm collaborating with a teammate who just happens to be a 24/7 graphic designer. It's quick, it's intuitive, and it makes design fun. Even for someone like me who normally dreads it. If you want to see what I mean, check the link in the description and try LaVAR yourself. Once you start playing with it, you'll realize how natural design can feel when the AI is working with you instead of just for you. All right, let's talk about one of my favorite new tricks, extended thinking. This is basically Claude's deep focus switch. Normally, when you throw it a tough problem, like debugging code, analyzing a messy dataset, or working through logic puzzle, the quick 5-second answer just isn't enough. With extended thinking turned on, Claude slows down, takes its time, and actually shows you its reasoning step by step. Here's how you use it. You'll see a toggle under the prompt bar that says extended thinking. Flip it on before you hit enter. Once it's on, you immediately notice the difference. Instead of spitting out a final answer, Claude starts narrating its thought process. It might sketch out pseudocode, run calculations in an artifact, or list out options one by one before picking the best one. If you give it a dataset, you'll see it right. I noticed demand peaks at 5 p.m. with 460 rides compared to a 4 a.m. low, then builds strategies around that. Sometimes it even pauses to check references it already knows before continuing. It's like watching a student show their work on a math problem. The trade-off is speed. Extended thinking is deliberately slower, 30 seconds, a minute, sometimes more for really complex tasks, and the output looks different too. Instead of polished sentences, you will see raw notes. Thought, verify data consistency, action, running analysis. You can collapse the log if you don't want to see the process, but reading it often helps. You catch where it makes assumptions, and sometimes you pick up problem-solving tricks yourself. This is where Claude 4.1 feels like a huge step up from Claude 3. Before you only saw the end result. If it was wrong, you had to backtrack with follow-up prompts. Now you can step in mid-process. If you see take a wrong turn in step 4, you can literally say, check that assumption, and Claude reroutes on the spot. That kind of transparency saves you time and confusion. So when should you use it? Anytime accuracy really matters or the task is genuinely complex. Debugging code, extended thinking helps Claude methodically test possible fixes instead of guessing. Analyzing data goes through each angle before concluding. Writing a nuanced essay, it weighs arguments carefully. On the other hand, if you're asking what's the capital of France, that's overkill. It's like using a chainsaw to cut butter. But when the job calls for real brain power, extended thinking mode makes Claude feel less like a chatbot, spitting the first idea, and more like a reasoning partner you can actually trust. Now, Claude has a built-in analysis tool that works like a code assistant behind the scenes. The big shift is that you don't need to jump out to Excel, Sheets, or Jupyter notebooks anymore. Claude can write and run the code for you, right inside the chat, and show results instantly. Here's how you use it. You drag and drop a CSV straight into the chat and ask in plain English what you want. For example, analyze this sales data. What are the top 3 products by revenue? And plot the revenue trend over the year in a chart. The artifact panel opens and you literally watch Claude write Python code. Load in the CSV, grouping sales by product, running the math, and plotting with matplotlib. While it works, the chat explains what's happening. Then the artifact displays clean interactive charts, a line graph showing monthly revenue, and a bar chart of the top products. The impressive part is that Claude doesn't just give you visuals, it interprets them. That kind of turning raw numbers into a story, where 4.1 feels way ahead of Claude 3. So whether you're doing basic stats, digging into trends, or even prototyping machine learning models, Claude 4.1 works like a personal data scientist. You don't need to know code, you just ask and Claude decides when to spin a Python inside an artifact. It's basically the future version of spreadsheets where you say, AI, do that boring part for me, and it does, without complaint. And if you've ever slogged through Excel formulas manually, past you will be very, very jealous. One thing you'll love in Claude is how interactive the problem solving feels. It isn't just question answer anymore. It's like a live dialogue where Claude reasons with you, adjusts on the fly, and stays in lockstep as you iterate, coding, writing, or brainstorming design. Use it as a coding buddy by asking Claude to review and run your script inside an artifact. Paste your Python invoice script, say review and run this, and watch it execute on dummy data. If it hits a bug, say you see key error, total due, Claude flags the error, explains the cause, edits the code, and shows the success output. You don't have to say debug this, it just does the loop for you. Run, catch, fix, rerun. If the fix isn't ideal, nudge it to try an alternative approach, swap a library, or refactor a function, and it adapts without getting flustered. That's real pair programming energy. Apply the same rhythm to writing. Have Claude draft your piece, then target edits surgically. Say, make the second paragraph funnier and less formal, and it changes only that paragraph. Ask for a touch of humor across the whole email and a casual sign-off, cheers, instead of a stiff closing, and it sprinkles tone without rewriting your core content. Because the context window is huge, you can rapid-fire refinements, shorten a sentence, add an example, flip to active voice, and it keeps the thread intact through dozens of turns. Lean on its parallel thinking when you need multitasking. Ask, summarize this report, and check if any numbers contradict the spreadsheet I uploaded. And Claude analyzes both sources under the hood, merges the results, and returns a tight summary plus the flagged discrepancies. No second prompt required, no waiting for step-by-step handoffs. Treat Claude like a hyper-efficient colleague, not a vending machine. Interrupt freely, steer mid-process, and correct the moment something looks off. Say, wait, Claude, check that again, and it course corrects on the spot. With extended thinking enabled, you'll even see it stop, reassess the assumption, and rerun the logic before finalizing. The more you guide the loop, the closer you get to exactly what you want. Fast, fluid, and with far less back and forth than the old way. Last but definitely not least, let's talk about Claude's personality, or rather, the one you can shape it into. Claude 4.1 now includes built-in assistant personas and custom tone settings called styles. This is where Claude shifts from being a one-size-fits-all bot to feeling like your personal assistant. Out of the box, you've got 5 preset styles to play with: normal, learning, concise, explanatory, and formal. Normal is the default friendly helper. Concise trims responses down to the essentials. Great when you want summaries without fluff. Explanatory stretches out, teaching with detail and breaking things down step by step. Learning is best for students and explaining new info. And formal tightens everything into professional polished responses, perfect for business communication. You can try this yourself. Ask Claude the same question in concise and explanatory, and you'll see the difference immediately. 3 sentences versus 3 paragraphs, same knowledge, but totally different flavor. Where it really gets interesting is custom styles. You create these in 2 ways. First, you can describe the tone you want. For example, write something like, speak with excitement, use encouraging language, sound like an upbeat mentor, save it as enthusiastic coach. And suddenly Claude starts hyping you up like it's your personal trainer for ideas. The second way is uploading a sample of writing. Say you collect a few blog posts, emails, or reports you've written and upload them as a reference. Label it My Voice. And when you switch it on, Claude answers in a way that mirrors your tone. Cheeky, sarcastic, even echoing your favorite phrases. It won't be a perfect clone, but it's close enough that drafts sound like they came straight from you. For content creation, that's a game changer. There's one thing to keep in mind. The quality of a custom style depends entirely on the sample you give it. Large, consistent samples produce strong, reliable voices. A messy mix of tones just confuses Claude. But that flexibility is huge if you need created one version for social media and another for clients. Look, Claude is powerful, but here's what I learned after testing AI tools for years. Having scattered knowledge gets you scattered results. That's why I put everything I've discovered, like these prompting techniques, workflow strategies, and tool comparisons, into AI Master Pro. It's not another course you'll never finish. It's your home base for AI. Weekly updates keep you current, community shares what's actually working, and tools like Ask AI Master help you apply this stuff immediately. Plus, you get discounts on the AI tools we review, so you're saving money while you're learning. Serge, freelance writer and our member, said it best: instead of feeling behind in AI trends, I finally feel ahead of them. If you want to stop chasing the latest AI hype and start building real AI-powered workflows, check out AI Master Pro in the description and snag 50% your first year today. Now go make something awesome with Claude 4.1. I can't wait to hear about it. Cheers.